I think watch some good English dramas, BBC and British series. They have a lot of good formal communication and languages to impart.
So, to begin with, sir, as law students and lawyers, the importance of communication skills can't be stressed upon enough, as building a network is becoming increasingly necessary in our profession. How would you suggest one develops and builds on these skills in order to make meaningful connections, especially now when we're in this digital world and we're using it more than ever? Even on LinkedIn, we sometimes feel the need that the students who approach us need to, get it right before they do. So, how would you suggest that they do this?
So look, communication is one of the oldest way by which human civilization has evolved, over the centuries.
Yes.
The idea is it's not so much about the language as I think it's about the demeanor. So, when we speak of LinkedIn, when we speak of social media, when we speak of very formal platform, especially approaching lawyers and
Yeah.
within the legal community, let me not talk of other professional platforms or businesses because, professional space may differ from one organization to the other. But
Yeah.
law is super formal, and
Mm.
that is something that students have to realize. And I think, especially for the first, second year law students, it's important for them to have an exposure to internship so that they realize how a lawyer's office work. If you end up working, let's say, either for a non-profit organization or a non-governmental organization, and the setup there may be, let's say, a little less formal, then that formality doesn't trickle down to you. So I would say internships are very important. Once you are interning with a lawyer's office, you would sense the nature of formality and
Mm.
the way pleadings are drafted, the way you address a court. It's all very formal,
Yeah.
and I think that formality has to percolate when people message one another on LinkedIn. I keep telling people don't put your direct internship or your job applications because that's not the right approach. Try to find the email. If you can't find an email, by all means, approach a person directly because necessity is the mother of invention. And having said that, what should a student keep in mind is that I think watch some good English dramas, BBC and British series. They have a lot of good formal communication and languages to impart. Hollywood can be a little casual,
Yeah.
but I'm not saying but they have again come up with good products, especially the OTTs. Try to watch good series. I think that will show the youth how to be a little more formal, both in terms of attire, in terms of appearance, and in terms of approach. So I think that is very important, and I think that should be the long and short of it.
Yeah, and that is about law students. But what about young professionals? Even, I mean, we also learned it the hard way and not necessarily learned it in law school, sometimes even after it. How should we approach it? Because we are already into the profession and we've past that internship stage where we were allowed to make mistakes and learn from them. We're kind of on our own now. So for young professionals, also in our profession, it's good to build contacts, and especially if you're going independent. How do we improvise and do good there?
So, look, what I feel is that one, you must always be dressed formally. Like today, even today, I'm dressed formally, right?
Yeah.
So I dress formally 7 days a week, and I know it can be really cumbersome sometimes because you want to have your tees and your jeans, and you want to be casual and just a little laid back, and that's fine when you're at the comfort of your home or in the company of your friends. If you're just chilling out or hanging out, just to say, then it's fine. But consider this as a lawyer, or even not as a lawyer. If a person is on the job, people expect some sort of formality and seriousness out of you. You may be a content writer, you may be a copywriter, you may be in an ad agency,
Yeah.
but if a client walks in a three-suit piece, they may at least expect you to be in a tie or at least in a shirt or be
Yeah.
formally dressed, to be at least taken seriously.
Yeah.
I'll give you my example. So I was having this ice-breaking ceremony with Australian organization where I'm one of the mentors, and they had the Zoom call,
Mhm.
and it was the first meeting. So they had a random sidebar where the algorithm would choose four people, and then you're thrown to have a quick candid chat with one another.
Okay.
So I got a lady from London who was another mentor, and two ladies from Australia who were the law students. And
Mhm.
we got talking about what the bizarrest thing one has done in terms of fashion in their life. So obviously, with the ladies, I think they spoke about different dresses that they may have, tried, which may have been against the Vogue in a particular time. And then once they finished, they looked at me and I said, look, I've not been very crazy with my dresses. But I don't know if it's crazy, but the only experiment I've done with me is having a long hair when I was pursuing my master's in the final year of law school and my transition to master. So my hair was this long, and I used to have a hairband and everything. But by the time I was about to graduate and was sitting for job interviews, my look was like this. Because otherwise, a law firm partner will not take you seriously. HR will not take you seriously. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with long hair or having a hairband on. My mind will still be working the same way. But my appearance may not be taken conducively by the person who's interviewing me. And appearances matter a lot. So even if you're a young person in any industry, I would say appearance matters a lot. Look at Amitabh Bachchan, for example. Even whatever interview he's giving or whatever advertisement he's giving, he's one of the good example because his dictum, his demeanor, his the way he dresses up is very formal. So I think once you're formally dressed, people also take you a little seriously. So I would say, please always dress formally. Your clothes should be ironed. Your speech should be as formal as possible. It can be borderline casual only if it's with friends or known acquaintances. But having said that, I think a little bit of formality, goes a long way in terms of people taking you seriously and you taking them seriously. So it's a good reciprocity.
Yeah. From here, I had something else as well, like, since we're talking about social media, so where, all of us seem to have an opinion and we are candid while expressing it. We also expose ourselves to a lot of hate, criticism, and sometimes even trolling. So there are two things that I'd love to know your thoughts on. One, that how does one make an informed opinion before going out there and, putting it out there? Which is untouched by prejudice as possible, as much as possible. And two, how does one deal with the hate that sometimes comes with it?
Good question. Look, the moment you decide to put yourself out there, be ready for trolling, both positive and negative. There are immoral and moral trolls, right? Both. So you can't control what other people have to say about you, just in the manner as they do not know what type of post you're going to put. When I post something, and I can only speak about myself, right? I try to be as neutral as possible. I'm not there to give a judgment. I'm sometimes when I think that there is an alternate view available, but which has not been put across, I try to still make it neutral without prejudicing or without imposing my thoughts on people. And social media, you are free to choose who you want to follow. If somebody doesn't like my thoughts, they can definitely unfollow me and they can follow someone else. So there are no hard and fast rules, and it's not a one-day phenomenon. So people follow you, people connect with you when they think, okay, you or your post in a way appeal to their senses or their intellect, and that's how it is, at least on LinkedIn, right? Trolling will happen. You can block them. You always have a choice of blocking them. Not immediately. Just wait for 24 hours before people have commented. And if that hate post has gathered more hate posts, and if that was not your agenda, delete that comment. Block that person. You don't want toxicity in your life, and that's a choice that you have to make. So it's very simple as ABCD. I mean, you don't have to wait for more people to punch in your gut and for you to realize it's hurting. It's as simple as that. So initially, I think when I came on LinkedIn, and then some of the posts I written, I remember last year, because I've only been active on this platform for 2 years now. So a lot of people would comment, and without knowing me or without knowing who I am or without reading my previous post, are very always ready to jump to a conclusion. And I think that's the curse of social media, because people have a lot more time in their hand with their smartphones around, and we are ready to scroll and click and not bother to understand where a person is coming from, and that becomes a problem. But again, having said that, I don't think your intent of posting something should be governed by the comments to it. You cannot be looking forward for people to comment on it. If they want to comment, they're free to comment. If they're happy reading your post in a stealth mode, let them be happy. If they want to like it. And someone very wise told me that you are your first audience. So when you write something, you write it for yourself, and then you write it for the world. So if you are writing something for yourself, and if you're happy with it, post it. Simple.